Neil Patrick Harris recently gave a statement about the production of Matrix 4, revealing some filming techniques used for the movie and Lana Wachowski's approach on the creation of this new installment. A very different approach from the previous trilogy. Everything seems to indicate that Matrix 4 will be a completely different style of movie compared to the original trilogy. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Neil Patrick Harris's interview was reported on websites such as Screen Rant, Yahoo Entertainment, and Variety, and I quote, "Neil Patrick Harris spent some of the pandemic filming The Matrix 4 in Berlin. He tells me that he was surprised that writer-director Lana Wachowski's shoot was so intimate. It did not feel large because it felt like she was in her sweet spot, which was filming on the fly, filming using natural light," the Emmy and Tony winner says on this week's episode of the Just for Variety podcast. "Sometimes you'd sit around for an hour waiting for the clouds to clear, and then you quickly film. You'd film pages at a time in 30 minutes, and then be done." He adds, "You would think that a giant movie would be 100% storyboarded, animatics, and we'd be checking off shots. I think she lived that before 3 times over, and I would suspect that she wants to do things her way now. It wasn't often that you felt that you were doing something gigantic because she made it feel very intimate." End quote. So what does this information mean for Matrix 4, and why is it so important? The Matrix trilogy is a series of films where much care was given to every single detail. So much so that there is a book titled The Art of the Matrix, where there are storyboards that were used for the filming of the movies. Storyboards that were worked on for a year. Every shot that was filmed was meticulously detailed. The obsessive attention to detail generated criticism from the crew who worked on the trilogy, like cinematographer Bill Pope, who in recent years has criticized the Wachowskis' demanding ways while filming. Pope said the following during a podcast, and I quote, "Everything good about the first experience was not good about the last two. We weren't free anymore. People were looking for you. There was a lot of pressure. In my heart, I didn't like them. I felt we should be going in another direction. There was a lot of friction and a lot of personal problems, and it showed up on the screen. To be honest with you, it was not my most elevated moment, nor was it anyone else's. The Wachowskis had read this damn book by Stanley Kubrick that said, actors don't do natural performances until you wear them down. So let's go to take 90. I want to dig Stanley Kubrick up and kill him. There is something about making a shoot that long, 276 shoot days, that is mind-numbing and so numbing, and it numbs the movie. You think about The Hobbit and where they shot 1, 2, and 3, and the movies were just numbing. In the books you don't feel that because you pick it up and you put it down. In a movie shoot, it's too long. There's a limit to what you can take in." End quote. Bill Pope's expressions are completely different from those of Neil Patrick Harris. Although Pope jokes in part of his statement, he still harbors resentment on the way the movies and the video game were filmed. Maybe the physical and mental deterioration from filming was the reason why the Wachowskis moved away from continuing to work on the franchise. And apparently Lana vowed not to make the same mistakes while filming Matrix 4. Production on the film will be more relaxed, and without the constant pressure of the studio bringing down the morale of the cast and crew. The filming will be less strict and more improvised. Now, this new philosophy has its pros and cons, but it is a very risky way to work. We know that there is a pen and paper Matrix 4 script that was presented to the actors, so the film is not being improvised. However, Lana is allowing changes to be done to the story on the fly and improvisations from the cast. Having this creative freedom can help parts of the movie feel more natural, but it can also cause the opposite effect. The attention to detail is one of the elements that stood out the most in the original trilogy. Improvisation is a double-edged sword for some directors. But why would Lana Wachowski risk the quality of Matrix 4? Throughout their careers, the Wachowskis have stood out for their innovation and non-conforming style of filmmaking. Each one of their movies is a new experience and an opportunity to delve into different cinematographic concepts and aesthetics. The siblings had to film Matrix Reloaded, Revolutions, and Enter the Matrix simultaneously. This was a grand experience for everyone involved, but it was ultimately exhausting. We believe that this is why we haven't seen anything new from the Matrix universe. The experiences filming the sequels, the video game, and being involved in the production of the Animatrix and the comic books was physically and mentally draining. Ergo, Lana's approach to filming Matrix 4 is one that is more relaxed and more akin to being a family, and not a strict Hollywood production. This new approach may have resulted in the cast and crew feeling not as spent, and maybe be willing to continue the saga with more movies and other content. Now, many of you might be worried to hear things like the crew waiting for the clouds to move to use natural lighting, but this is far from the first time that a major Hollywood movie would use the sun instead of lights. The Revenant won multiple Academy Awards, including Best Cinematography, and no artificial lighting was used. Although this is a risky approach when creating a film, we trust in the vision of Lana Wachowski and her cinematographer, John Toll. Toll has also won multiple Oscars for his work on films like Braveheart, Legends of the Fall, and The Last Samurai. The cinematographer has also won awards for Breaking Bad and the Netflix original series Sense8, a series created by the Wachowskis. Even though the strategies of using natural lighting or improvisation are risky and not recommended for filming, realize that these are some of the best filmmakers in the industry who are working on Matrix 4. We pray that this method of filmmaking has a positive effect on the movie and the people who worked on it, in hopes that they will return to make more movies in the future. But do you agree? What do you think about the news that Matrix 4 was filmed in a more stress-free environment? Will the movie be better or worse because of it? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.